Split call, 2 5-minute calls. First to Lewis Wall.
Kia ora, Mr Speaker. It's my pleasure to speak at the first reading of the Student Loan Scheme Amendment Bill number 2 in the name of the Honourable Peter Dunn. Labor does support this bill to Select Committee. When I was asked to speak about this bill, I thought about my own situation. I had a student loan. My parents couldn't afford for me to go to university. I also had a student allowance. And so, I recognise that the scheme started in 1992. I borrowed in 1998. And it was for people like me, people who came from communities where parents of my generation didn't go to university. I'm a bit of an anomaly in my community because I have gone there. But what I entered into with the government was a social contract, and that social contract was about me increasing the education that I had so I could be a better citizen for our country. And so I think the intention of this bill is good, because why should we differentiate between borrowers or people who get loans who live in New Zealand versus those who live overseas? And so in fact the intention of this bill is really good. So of the approximate total 465,000 students in our tertiary education system, half are borrowers, and of those half, 91,000 approximately live overseas. Now, the biggest issue that we have is that those 91,000 students owe $2.3 billion, and in fact 41% of them are not paying towards that student loan. So we do have a problem. This bill is trying to rectify that. But what I'd like to know actually is a profile about who these people are. Have they completed their tertiary studies, these people who no longer live in New Zealand? And if they do, obviously they're going to be in a much better position, because we know that through tertiary education you can earn a lot more money. I'm really interested in what types of vocations they're engaged in. I'm really interested in the gender difference, because what we do know is that 5 years post-study, there's an 18% difference between what men earn and what women earn. I also want to pick up on some of the concerns of my Green colleague, Holly Walker, because what is the intention, or what is the future for these 91,000 New Zealanders who aren't living in New Zealand? Do we want them to come back to New Zealand and be productive citizens here? And so I do think some investigation does need to be made about a case-by-case analysis of how much people borrowed whenever they borrowed it, and in fact how much they owe now. Because one of the case studies I've read, a gentleman borrowed $7,000 and he now owes $157,000. Now, he's not going to come back to New Zealand. He's going to stay in Australia where he currently is. And I do think he should pay something back, but what should that amount be? Should it be $157,000, or should he pay back what he borrowed, the $7,000 that he borrowed in the first place? So what this bill will do is broaden the definition of income to include income from trust companies, superannuation schemes, etc. And that's fair, because we should be including that income for all people. And secondly, we will look at information sharing between customs and IRD. And again, if we want to find out who these 91,000 people are, then we will have to actually implement a scheme like that. So I just want to reinforce the position that we have on this side of the House, that we will support it to Select Committee, but we do that with the intention of having some advice from the Privacy Commissioner, because we think that this information sharing does open up privacy issues. So obviously we want to hear from the expert in this area. I think just fundamentally, the point that I want to make again is that the investment that the government makes in all New Zealand citizens is a valuable one, and we should be treating New Zealanders who live in New Zealand and New Zealanders who choose to live in other countries the same, within the context of ensuring that they pay back their loans. Thank you.
Gareth Hughes.